Hey everyone, what is going on? So we have another video for you today. These are battles that I did on stream and I hit ace with it. Absolutely incredible. We hit ace with a 4-1 and this is the team I used to hit legend with last season. So I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and hit ace with it, see how it still works. And it still works pretty well. For the most part, I've been having positive sets. I had like a couple negative sets with it, but for the most part, we've been doing pretty well with it. Can't complain. But it's going to be Pelipper double steal. Generally speaking, you do want to lure out a possible fighting type, obviously, because the backline hates fighters. Although with Registeel, you can generally get a shield depending on if you get debuffs, like against Metacham. But let's go ahead and dive right into the battles and see what we got going on for us. We saw an Alolan Ninetales lead, right? So I switched into Registeel, and out comes Umbreon. Okay, very, very, very interesting. Registeel actually likes this matchup. Like, even if they take this matchup, I'm actually okay with that. If I can get this second shield, let's get to it. I get to the Focus Blast. Let's go. So this is either going to KO or get the final shield. They let it go. I get shield advantage and switch advantage. You'll love to see it. Now we have the Galarian Stunfisk onto this Shadow Alolan Ninetales. Out comes a Zoom out. So I'm going to go ahead and, that's actually a little bit tricky, I'm going to go ahead and throw the Earthquake and then pivot out into Pelipper. My opponent actually shields. Didn't expect to shield. I'm going for the catch and I do successfully catch. I was seeing if I could catch a Hydro Pump. I didn't think they would throw it, but just in case they did, right? Because I have two shields, I thought they would bait. But I decided to go ahead and let's just go ahead and try and catch it. But I catch the Ice Beam anyway, but still that's fine. I mean, they ultimately would have thrown the Ice Beam anyway, even if I didn't catch. So I'm going to go ahead and charge up and go for the Hurricane right now. This Hurricane is going to connect, obviously, because they have no shields. And my opponent's just going to concede there. So I'm going to be able to take that one. So good game to my opponent. Yeah, let's go ahead and move into the next battle. So I started at 2200 elo, and then I said I had a 4-1 to ace, which got me to 2243. I thought I would start a little bit higher. I thought I would start mid 2200s, but 2200 itself is fine. I'm not worried about it at all. Obviously very early in the season. My opponent actually boosted. You hate to see it. You know, I was going to go straight Hurricane, but because they boosted, I'm going for the bait now. But my opponent actually doesn't shield. Oh, it would have been nice to get off that Hurricane. I got a shield now. I can't have the backline on this Obstagoon, right? So I'm going to go ahead and charge up enough for two. We do have two Weather Balls. I'm going to go ahead and throw one right now. This is going to pick up the shield, and my opponents, I believe, they do go ahead and double shield, which is unfortunate for me. I would have preferred if they didn't double shield, right? Because now I'm in trouble, because that Obstagoon is going to be able to get off some nice damage against my Galarian Stunfisk, and not really much I could do about it. I mean, I could shield this one, but my opponent is going to be able to get to another one, so I'm going to go ahead and shield this one. This is rough, obviously, but it is what it is. Boost is part of the game. It is a legitimate thing that happens in this game, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go for the Rock Slide, and it will be enough to KO. Hoping that Registeel can sweep. Not looking too good. I tried to catch a Surf. Wasn't able to do so. Yeah, I mean, an Earthquake would KO the Lantern, but unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to make it before my opponent got to a Surf and KO'd me. Actually, well, even if it didn't KO the Earthquake, it would have got it very low. You get the point, right? But this is rough. My opponent actually has a Noctowl in the back, and of course I didn't know it at the time. I was kind of anticipating it. I said that on stream, but there's really not much I could do at this point in time. My opponent is going to be able to get off an attack, even if it doesn't KO, even Noctowl, because my Stunfisk, I don't get to the focus player. Even if I did, it wouldn't matter, because I need 3 Rock Slides to KO the Noctowl. I just wanted to see what was in the back. Obviously, I wasn't sure. But I decided to KO the Lantern, and it is a Noctowl, and yeah, again, they'll just be able to get to a Shadow Ball and KO me. Good game. Let's move on to the next one, Pelipper into Stunfisk. Okay, not a bad matchup, kind of neutral, but it does favor Pelipper a little bit, so I'm totally down with this matchup. I'm going to go ahead and take the first one. Usually I take the first one. I usually don't throw it right away, just in case my opponent decides to catch. Usually they don't catch. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw this Weather Ball, and I'm going to be able to throw another Weather Ball. I think I tried to time on CMP, but my opponent doesn't throw right away. So my opponent actually lets it go, so I could shield this and go for the Wing Attack down. That's usually how I play this matchup. Usually Pelipper does win it. Actually, Pelipper always wins it if you invest the shield. But in comes Pelipper, so I'm just going to go ahead and switch out immediately into Registeel. And look at that, my opponent is actually not switching out. This tells me that there's no fighter in the back. Of course, I had to lure out a possible Medicham with one of my Pokemon in the back. And usually it's Registeel. Usually Registeel is a safe swap on this team. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw the Zap Cannon. It is going to be enough to KO the Pelipper if my opponent lets it go. My opponent is actually not going to let it go. So I'm thinking maybe it's double flyers if my opponent is staying in. But if it was Noctowl in the back, wouldn't like Noctowl probably be better than Pelipper? Well, maybe not. Pelipper gets to the moves really fast, right? So my opponent might shield this. They might let it go. They actually shield it. So we get the debuff again, which is really nice. So I'm trying so desperately to get to a move. My opponent actually, it is Noctowl, so my opponent actually brings in the Noctowl, saving that Pelipper. And I do get off the attack into that Noctowl. So, yes, looking really good for me. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Galarian Stunfisk. My opponent going to go ahead and throw an attack. Just going to let it go. It's going to be a Shadow Ball, no problem. I can take it. Going to go ahead and throw this Rock Slide into this Noctowl right now. And it's not going to be enough to KO, but I'm going to try and Wing Attack down, and I do successfully Wing Attack down. And I throw the Weather Ball. I don't know why, but for some reason I was thinking that Pelipper was lower than it actually is. But Hurricane would have been nice there if I charged up for it. But either way, doesn't really matter. My opponent's going for the farm down. I'm going to be able to get off this Weather Ball, and we're going to be able to take that game. And that is going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent. So, yes, 3 games. And we're gonna go ahead and move into the next battle in just a moment. But yeah, good game to my opponent. I guess I forgot to edit out this part. That is okay. We'll just move on right now. So let's go ahead and see what we got going on for us. So okay, Pelipper into a Alolan Ninetales. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I always switch out. I mean, obviously we have 2 answers to this in the back. My opponent's gonna switch out into Deoxys. Deoxys, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, not a great matchup. Of course, we're weak to counter. Most Deoxys, from what I've noticed, are running Thunderbolt, which is worse for my Registeel because it is neutral, whereas the other moves would be resisted. So my opponent's going to go ahead and go for the Thunderbolt. But the good thing about this situation is like you can always get a shield, right? So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Focus Blast. This should get a shield. If it doesn't, it's going to KO. Even if it didn't KO, we could lock on down, but it would KO. Is my opponent going for the lock on down? Oh man, I thought they would maybe go for, or not the lock on down, the counter down. I thought they would maybe go for the counter down, and I would have been able to get to another attack, but they don't. I'm actually going to bring in Galarian Stunfisk because I don't want to be hit with Thunderbolt with Pelipper, even a double resisted, or not a double resisted, but a double debuffed Thunderbolt, right? So out comes Lantern right now. Okay. So Lantern is going to be coming in. I'm going to go ahead and let this attack go through. Obviously, I know it's a Surf. I'm going to charge up, go for the Earthquake right now. I don't want to bait. I just want to go ahead and go for it. My opponent does not shield. I'm glad I didn't bait. My opponent gets off an attack. I have 2 shields. I'm going to go ahead and invest the shield and go for the farm down. Beautiful situation. Galarian Stunfisk, the beautiful thing about it is, yeah, we take super effective damage from counter, but we do resist all of the charge moves from Deoxys, right? So let's see what decides to come in. Going to be that Alolan Ninetales. So just going to go ahead and throw the Rock Slides. We do have multiple Rock Slides ready to go. Not really worried about a catch. I mean, if they do catch, at least I would be able to get KO that Deoxys, right? So I'm going to bring in Pelipper. My opponent is going to be able to throw an attack. And I was like, well, if it's just in case it's a Dazzling Gleam. And it is a Dazzling Gleam. Beautiful. So now, because it was a Dazzling Gleam, I could farm it down and take this win. And that is going to be a great game, very well played to my opponent. Yeah, but I was feeling pretty confident about that game regardless. But, GG's. Let's go ahead and move into the next one. Pelipper into Galarian Stunfisk. Okay, so another Galarian Stunfisk. They were pretty common, actually. I'm not going to lie. The day I was doing these games, but totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and throw this attack right now. And it's going to be the Weather Ball, of course. My opponents usually don't shield the first one. Occasionally they do. But usually I would say they let the first one go. I'm going to go ahead and take this Rock Slide. I always let the first one go because I know I could take one. I'm going to throw a CMP. My opponent does not throw at CMP. So I still get off my attack first anyway. So my opponent actually lets it go. So, yeah, generally speaking, as I mentioned, I go down a shield just to take switch and get... I also get ahead on energy. I can't let the Pelipper go right now because they could have a fighter in the back, right? And I do need Pelipper for that. And out comes Noctowl. I'm going to go ahead and switch, and they do have the Medicham in the back. That's why you keep the Pelipper alive. And this is not the worst situation in the world. Of course, we still do a good amount of damage. With the Zap Cannon, we have the potential to debuff, and I do debuff, which is really nice. And we got the shield, which is good. And my opponent does not have Power Punch, which is good for Reggie's deal. I don't like Power Punch Medichams, but I'm going to be able to get to another one, which is really nice. So let's see if my opponent decides to shield this or if they let this one go through. They do decide to shield it, unfortunately. Okay, so they do farm me down, which is a little bit scary, not going to lie. But I can go ahead and shield this one with Pelipper. I do have to shield it so I can get off the Hurricane. Go a little bit over. I don't want a possible catch. And I'm going to be able to go for the Hurricane, which will KO. And of course, Galarian Stunfisk will be able to pick up this game because the Noctowl is coming in. And I'm going to go ahead and go for the Weather Ball. I decided to throw a Weather Ball before switching out immediately. This allows 2 Rock Slides to KO Noctowl instead of needing 3. Although it also gave my opponent a little bit extra farm as well. But either way, totally fine. I'm going to just go ahead and charge up enough for 2. And my opponent is going to concede. And that is going to be a great game. Very well played to all of my opponents. Really well done to all of them. But going to be able to take that one. As I said, it's going to be a 4-1. Picking up a Hisuian Sneasel. I think I got 3 Hisuian Sneasels today. Which is pretty funny, actually, in Go Battle League. But yeah, I'm going to be able to catch it. Nice bounce back, right? With the Articuno. Going to get up to 22-43, as I mentioned. And that will be it for this one. Have a good day. Bye.